What's going on, guys and gals? Welcome to episode 83 of the Workprints Gamescast, brought to you by theworkprint.com. As always, I'm your host, Rob, and I'm being joined by the man behind the scenes, the brains that makes this all work, the Oz behind the curtain, Bilal. What's up, Bilal?
I have a Persona 25th anniversary shirt I want to show off really quick.
All right, and we're also being joined by a very special guest this week, Christian. What's up, Christian?
Hey everyone, how's it going?
Now, Christian, I think your name is mentioned as often, if not more, than our names are mentioned every episode because of how much you're out there writing for the Workprint and stuff like that. So why don't you let people know a little bit about yourself, your role at the Workprint, because that's where anybody who's been watching has heard about you before. What else do you have your hands in? And then also, why don't you tell us a little bit about your gaming preferences and your history with gaming?
Sure, yeah, so I am the managing editor as of, I think, this month of theworkprint.com. I cover a little bit of everything. I'm the person who reaches out to all the PR people and try to get as much information, news, and stuff that we can, and basically writes about it or asks other people to write about it. We actually have a couple new team members who've just joined. I think this week there's somebody else we got on board that I need to talk to you about, Bilal, at some point in this week. Don't worry about it.
Damn, you've been busy.
Yeah. So I got somebody who wants to come in from HeyPoorPlayer.com, another site that I used to write for that I just left last month, but like another gaming person who might actually want to come to the podcast. I don't know. I gotta ask him. But yeah. So yeah, I'm a writer. Do all that stuff. Outside of that, I write screenplays and stuff. I'm taking some couple comic book classes, which is also why, if you've noticed, the Workprint's been covering a lot of Marvel material. There's a reason for that, because I'm also trying to break into the industry. I'm taking classes with Scott Snyder, the author of Batman, The Night Court of Owls. Yeah, and like, what else am I doing? There's like a lot. Kickstarting 2 comic book graphic novels this year, and one is a horror-based one, and the other one is a kind of like zombie comedy is the best way to put it. And gaming wise, yeah, I write here. I've done coverage here before. I've done stuff for Hey Poor Player, where I have Metacritic and OpenCritic reviews up there. At some point, I could link them. And I currently still write for thegamer.com, mostly doing listicles, but perhaps more down the line. And that's Valnet subsidiary. They also are affiliated with like Game Rant and Screen Rant. And that's kind of, I think that's everything really quickly. I know there's a lot, but
Christian, you don't have kids, right?
No, but I actually do have a nephew and a niece, and I babysit them quite a lot. So, especially during the, I think when the pandemic began, they actually lived with us for a couple months. So like, I wear all the hats, but also like keep in mind that even though I do a lot, it's because my former career was somehow crazier than life now. So, yeah, you kind of just learn to live with all the chaos. And
No,
such.
and I always say at the end of the podcast, but Christian, you are right now the soul and the fire that burns that keeps the site together. So
Yeah.
I appreciate all the work you do and all the energy you bring to the site. Without you, it would be a barren wasteland, and the podcast with the Twitch stream.
Yeah. And
I mean,
so
I love that you guys do the gaming side though with the Twitch stream, because it is fun, and like we need more gaming coverage anyway. So
yeah, no, agreed. What? So speaking of gaming, if you had to say what your go-to genres are? I mean, we're gonna get into what we've been playing lately, but just a little bit about your history in gaming and what you normally like to play.
yeah, sure. So like I have been gaming since probably like the year 2000, which makes me a little old. So I started with mostly real-time strategy games. So I was a huge fan of Blizzard. With everything going on, obviously it's hard to be a fan of Blizzard these days. But yeah, so StarCraft, Warcraft, that was originally kind of my thing. And then afterwards, I kind of just got into RPGs and like adventure games. Anything with a really good story. I'm a huge narrative guy. I'm a writer myself. I would like to break into narrative writing for gaming. I've applied to a couple positions, but yeah, it's a hard thing to get into, but it is fascinating. So anything with a really dope story. That said, I'm a huge fan of Naughty Dog and what they do, because like linear gameplay and the storytelling aspect there. All the big RPGs like Fallout and Red Dead and GTA, obviously, all that stuff. And that's kind of it. Like right now, I'm playing The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt just to get the platinum to kind of rub it into some of my game journalism friends' faces and be like, "Yo, look."
Listen, I love The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt so much. Actually, I think that is that might be the last review I wrote for the work print back when I actually wrote reviews for
Yeah.
it. That review killed me because that is not a short game.
It is not.
So
I think you had like 3 days to turn something around too.
yeah. And so I literally hit in like 50 plus hours in 3 days, something like that, and got to a point where I was like, okay, I feel comfortable writing the review.
Dude.
And
Yeah.
I mean, I think Bilal mentioned this on the pre-show. The fact that they're coming out with that next gen version of it is like real tempting to get back into it. Listen, before we go any further and we talk about what we've been playing, there is another reason that we wanted to have you on the podcast. And I want to point you to October 2nd, the year 2021. Someone tweets, "One has to go. Which one is it?" And it's a picture of burgers, wings, pizza, and tacos.
Yo.
Credit to you that you haven't deleted it yet. It still seems to be appeared on the site, Twitter.
I love how you like mark the date down. Okay.
Yeah, and
You have a link to this?
You responded. You responded. Wings easily.
Yes.
I would like to thank you for coming on the podcast, but at this time, no. So how okay?
Hmm?
How is that possibly anybody's stance out of those 4 choices? You know, I mean, listen. We all agree here that nobody in their right mind is picking pizza, right? Pizza is the GOAT. Pizza.
Yeah, that's the standard. Yeah.
I would argue that. I mean, honestly, I would argue that wings are second to pizza. But so for me, the least versatile out of all of these is the burger.
What?
I do not
Okay.
I mean, a burger at the end of the day, and listen, this is burgers. We're not talking chicken sandwiches. We're not talking like, this is a straight up burger. How is that not the one to go? How many burgers can you possibly eat?
You can customize a burger. You put different types of cheeses, different types of vegetables. There's like a million ways to make a burger. Wings are wings, man. It's just a thing with different sauces.
No. First off, there's grilled wings, there's boneless wings, there's tossed wings, there's breaded wings. There's so many different just base wings variety. And then you get all the sauces in there, and it's just a medley of flavor. I mean, not for nothing, but you don't go to a restaurant and go, let me get 4 different burgers, right? But you can go, let me get 4 different flavors of wings and just have a nice buffet in front of you.
See, that's the thing is you have to get multiple wings though. Like
you don't have to. I mean, everybody can go and you can just get the classic buffalo, but you have the option. It's the versatility in wings that make them so necessary.
I've had some very versatile burgers in my day, man. Like you can make it in so many different ways. You can put all these different toppings inside. It's a sandwich of beef. I mean, how can I not love that? But yeah.
Bilal, what's your stance on this? I mean, one of these has to go.
I love burgers. The best meal of my life has been a burger. Yeah. So what is it? It's wings, pizza, tacos, or a burger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One of these has to go forever.
Forever.
Now you're talking about one singular best burger. Okay, fine. Not to say that the highs of burgers aren't possibly very, very high, because they are. I mean, there's been times where I've sat down and I've had a burger, and I was ready to go. Lord, take me right there. But just forever.
You're gonna hate me for this, but it's a taco.
All right, you know what? We're moving on.
You lost us.
You're a nightmare. You know what? You're worse than he is.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, if there's anything that
you're out, Christian, free up your Wednesdays, all right?
Because... welcome to the last episode of the Gamescast again.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that out of the way, and all the the airing of grievances, let's go ahead and get into what we've been playing. So it's been kind of a slow week as far as what we've been playing. Me personally, I've been playing the usuals. I've been playing Apex, I've been playing Halo. Nothing new to report there. I'm still hopelessly addicted to those games. But the one new game that I actually do want to talk about that I've gotten a chance to play is Kenna Bridge of Spirits.
Hmm.
So Bilal, I know when this launched, you actually played a little
I
bit of it
dabbled with
on
it.
PC. Yeah.
Yeah.
Christian, you have a PS5. Have you played any of Kenna?
No, actually, let me know about it.
Okay, so I have put in. I am 1/3 of the way through the game. I sat down, started playing it, and obviously the one thing that stands out is how visually stunning it is. I mean, we use the Pixar of video games all the time, and this feels more like. Although the art styles aren't the same, this feels more like what you're getting out of something like Kubo and the Two Strings, right?
Mhm.
Oh, cool.
Where
Yeah.
Yeah.
this is not just nice looking, this is beautiful. And so that stands out right away. There's no denying that. I start playing the game and I do not think it's anything special.
Yeah.
I'm just
What?
there's a lot of it,
I
this
think I
game
said the
starts
same.
off. Yeah, this game starts off and it is very much, and I think some of the reviews touched on this when this game first came out. It feels like a very nice visually it looks like a game from 2021. Gameplay wise, it feels like a game from the PS3 era,
Xbox
you know?
360,
Yeah.
PS3 era.
And so that was my initial impression. Honestly, that was my impression for the first 2 hours I was playing the game. But, I stuck with it. I continued to play it. This game is that game, right? It is a third-person action adventure linear platformer where there's a lot of you doing nothing, of you just walking down running down a path, getting to the next objective, then fighting a few enemies, running down a path, getting to, it's a video game, whatever.
Mhm.
Then it gets to the first real boss fight. Okay, there are what I would say mini bosses throughout, and it's very much kind of hack and slash with a few dodging. You get to your first boss fight, and all of a sudden this game turns into effing Dark Souls. I am just dying over and over again, and none of the strategies I used on anything previous is working here. And I literally had to sit back and go, all right, if this was Dark Souls, if this was a From game, how would I play it? And that's what I had to do to beat that boss.
So
And
you rolled around constantly,
it
and
wasn't even just that. It was like, all right, I've seen this pattern. I understand that this is the opening for me to use this ability. This is where I have to roll towards them instead of rolling away from them. I have to try to parry these attacks that seem wholly unfair. And by the time that fight happened, is when some of the storytelling elements, and this is a studio that this is their first time out making a game. They come from an animation background.
Hmm.
The story elements start to pick up, and in a way that that also felt like an animated movie, right? Where very much I wanted to just watch a series of movies based on this character and in this world rather than necessarily play this game. But after that boss fight, I did get that sense of satisfaction that you get from a From game. And I am it's got its hooks in me. I don't think this is like, hey, this is a top 5. I don't even know if it's top 10 game of the year, honestly, at this point. But there very much is something there in this game. And as a first time out, I'm already excited to see what this studio can do next. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that they have to modernize and they have to advance as far as gaming in 2022 is concerned. But as a first time out, I mean, it looks gorgeous, it runs great, and there are some ideas here, and there are some great storytelling and animation there that I think it makes it a very worthy game to go out and play and give a shot. And it definitely showcases kind of like the power of the next generation as far as visuals are concerned. And so yeah, I am actually really digging it now, to the point where I want to go back and play it. Like after this, that's what I'm probably going to go do. Is I think I started the game yesterday. I think I will probably be done this game by the end of the weekend. And so that kind of just shows you, how I feel about the game as a whole so far.
Damn, I might need to
Christian,
check that back out.
yeah.
Hmm?
Christian, why don't you go ahead and let us know what you've been playing lately? I should have let you go on first since you're the guest, but I'm a terrible
Oh.
host. So
That's fine. What is it? I'm playing again The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt simply to platinum it, as I mentioned earlier. It is one of the harder platinums I think to get in the game, and I did waste a lot of time crossbowing somebody in the face, because that's one of the trophies is crossbow 50 enemies in the face. Why? I don't know. It was kind of a grindy thing. But playing through it again, especially after watching season 2 of The Witcher, yeah, that's probably the big reason why I wanted to play through it, is because like a lot of game journalists I know were playing it again. I think because the season just wrapped and they were like really in the mood and it was like New Year's. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna dive into this too and see if I can get this medal. And now I just have to beat it on the Death March mode, which I'm like halfway through already. And it's a really cool game and has so much story behind it. There's this one YouTuber, I think his name is Latalis, who literally for the past 5 years has been making Witcher 3 Wild Hunt videos because there was that much Easter eggs, that many weird story arcs and choice materials in The Witcher 3, where you just constantly be unlocking different things. Like this many years like later, it's a really awesome story in terms of like what narratives and what things could be found and kind of expanded upon. And the DLCs were fantastic too. But so yeah, I'm playing that one for now, and then yeah, the free on PlayStation Plus this month was Persona 5 Strikers. So immediately after this, I'm gonna play that, and then eventually Horizon Zero Dawn, which I'm gonna play when it comes out in February, which will be really cool. So.
Christian, I just want to bring this up. I gifted you a copy of Persona 5 Royal so you could play it during COVID and, relax.
Yeah.
You went ahead and platinumed it? Why? Why would you go and platinum a game that long?
That was also a great story. Like that's the thing, is I'm one of those gamers who doesn't play a lot of titles, but when I do, I will learn everything about your game. I will break it apart. I will find the weird Easter eggs. I'll go check the random room in the right to get that random item that gets you nothing but a free achievement trophy in the game, not even an online achievement trophy. I just do that because I like it, and I like seeing how games are built from beginning to end. So
yeah, see, I'm the complete opposite. I mean, my track record on here is been stated many times. I am very much just like I love multiple flavors of wings. I like to taste everything, And
yeah.
so don't get me wrong, I finish my meals, right? And so I play these games and I play them completion, but I am not the 100%er at all.
Yeah.
And it's actually why games like, The Witcher 3 is an exception, but games like Persona 5, I actually just got back. I didn't mention it because, I've talked about it before, but I got back into that, progressed a little bit more in that. But just knowing how long
I
that
hear the
game
lack of
is-
royal. I hear the lack of royal at the end of that.
I already put in
You skipped the
8
dialogue.
hours.
You skipped
No,
the
I'm not gonna.
dialogue.
I'm not gonna skip the dialogue of Persona 5. Like I like the dialogue of
No.
Persona 5.
But you replay royal, and you skip the dialogue to where you catch up. 8 hours is still the first dungeon.
There's a lot of dialogue in that game. I love it, but I'm not going to deny that.
Playing Royal. I am literally struggling. I am struggling playing a game of this length, and you want me to play the exact game plus more? I am not going to.
The dungeon changes up. There's new mechanics that are so much better, and a better story that adds to the game's length.
It does, which is why I'm confused what Strikers is exactly, because I never got to play it last year.
So
but when I get, it's like a
it's more a sequel to
yeah.
Rob's gonna hate me.
Anyway, but yeah, and so, but no, I mean, I totally respect anybody who's like, oh, I 100%ed this game, 100% that game. Like, I especially games like Persona 5 Royal, like I respect that. Just not necessarily my style of play.
Yeah, I mean,
Bilal,
every gamer is different, so.
yeah, right. Bilal, what have you? Oh no, that's the thing I want to mention. Sorry, Bilal.
Yeah,
we'll get to you. But no, you mentioned that getting back into Witcher 3 was kind of spurred on by the fact that you finished the second season of The Witcher on Netflix.
Yeah.
And I can totally relate to that because I am currently playing a ton of Legends of Runeterra again and dabbling in League of Legends Wild Rift just because I finished Arcane. And I remembered that as much as I hate that game, League of Legends that is, I love that world and I love the lore and so I can totally relate to that. And I love that we're able to do that, right? That like as a kid, outside of maybe licensed games like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and stuff like that and in the arcades, there wasn't a ton of like very good video games based on properties that I loved. And now it feels like we're getting the best of both worlds, and that's awesome.
Yeah. Just wait till the metaverse comes out, guys.
Oh God.
I don't know, man. I've been playing a lot of VR lately, but we're not going to talk about that here. All right, Bilal, what have you been playing?
So I've been dabbling with a few things. I haven't had too much time to sit down. I've rediscovered my love for Halo's multiplayer by just playing Fiesta mode. They had brought back that Tenrai Samurai event. I think I did all but 3 challenges, but just firing up Fiesta and playing a couple of matches every day. It's like the nicest relaxing mode out there. It's not serious. It's not serious.
I know it's not serious, but I couldn't disagree more about it being relaxing. Because every time I get a kill or two and then turn a corner to eat a rocket, I want to throw my controller through the TV.
It's just what Halo is to me as a multiplayer game. It's you can come back from a fight. You can turn it around. You can have some amazing plays. I was doing the most ridiculous shit, and I haven't touched that game in like 3 weeks, and I was amazed that the muscle memory was still there. So it's been a bunch of fun, just diving back into that.
No, I mean, I agree that Fiesta. I think Fiesta is a lot of fun, and I am trying to take it less serious, and that does help. You know, I think it's great also for trying to complete challenges, especially when you have weapon-specific challenges. And so I've been enjoying it more because of that. But yeah.
Yeah, because I think the problem I run into is every time I play ranked arena, I do well, and then I get or 3 of us do well, and there's a 1 person on our team with like 5 kills and 17 deaths, and it's just like we can't carry that one guy while everyone else on our team has like 12 plus kills. And so that gets a bit frustrating where it's just banging your head against the wall.
That's literally how I play FPS games. So yeah. I'm not
I don't care about kill. I don't care about kill death, but I would just like the teams to be even instead of having one person that's just dragging us down completely. And I understand some people have bad games, but it's just like game after game. I feel like that's the scenario I'm in.
I feel like that all the time when I'm playing with my friends. No, some of them are in the chat, so I had to take a thing. All right, what else have you been playing?
So touched a little bit more Psychonauts, not enough, but I need to get through that this weekend before our Game of the Year discussion. I might ask you to push that back 1 more week if I don't.
Well, no. So here's the thing. Here's the thing I realized.
Yeah.
Is that as far as that is concerned, next week is going to be the work print Game of the Year, right? And so there are games that you are going to champion that I haven't touched enough of. I haven't played enough of. There's going to be games that I'm going to champion that you haven't played enough of. And that's okay. I foresee a game being in our top 5 that I did not play.
Okay.
Right. And I think that's totally fine. I think you understand. I think
I'm so happy that you think that highly of Scarlet Nexus.
I think you've played enough. I think I can make the argument for why that game is going to be as high as I think that game is going to be. I think we'll be fine. You don't have to kill yourself. I mean, part of the reason we brought this podcast back and one of the things we agreed on was that we weren't going to force ourselves to play even though we tend to do it anyway, but we weren't going to force ourselves to play every new game that came out, and we weren't going to force ourselves to talk about every single story that was out. It's fine.
But for me with Psychonauts, it's every time I dive back into that game, every time there's a cutscene and like a development in that story, I freaking love it. Like I just did the the mind connection stuff in I forget the head lady's name. Hollis, was it? When you go into her brain and you change her mind to send everyone on that mission. The way the mind connection stuff works, it's both hilarious and it's fantastic. Like the way it works with the themes of the game, the mind and everything. It's so good, and this is like the first couple hours of the game. It's not even that far in, and like I'm so intrigued by it, and it works so well, and I want to see this through because I want to be there with you when you're talking about how good this game is and why it should be our number one game. Like
I think I listen. I think that game's gonna be very high. I'm gonna
Yeah.
argue for that game to be very high. I think it's and not to give anything away for next week, but I
Yeah.
think we're probably gonna have a consensus on what ends up being our number one.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
but it very well may be like my personal number one. I'll say that much.
Yeah. Um,
Um,
I played more Mario Party Superstars
Of course-
with the
of course you
family.
did.
I finally won one. I met my brother-in-law. Like fantastic at mini games. Some of the best luck I have seen in Mario Party. It was not even funny. I decided to duel him, and when we duel in this household, the house rule is you wager all your coins. And so I lost about 50-ish coins to him off the bat. And it didn't go well for me from there. But I finally did win one, which felt nice. And then I'm almost done with that first case in Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. What is law in that story? Because how many witnesses lie? How many people have secret identities, and then the judge still holds their testimony?
I need to get back to that series. I need to put the suit back on. I need to continue to play through that game because that was one of the things that when I did that first stream, and listen, now I got the technical difficulties worked out, but when I did that first stream, that was one of the things I talked about was this is not how this is just not how it works. You know, this is not how
they talk
things
how
are
like
done, and
they
but
talk
there are
about
some things that are similar.
yeah.
So
They do talk about how like this type of law in the court system is new in Japan, but you're like, but why are we listening to these people that have clearly lied and are
Yeah.
changing up their story?
Right. right.
No, yeah, but that's about all I've been playing this week. But all great stuff, and there's a lot more coming out. So I do want to wrap up at least Psychonauts by next week.
Yeah.
And
There
before
is a
Extraction.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because I'm excited for that. We got to play some of that. I think I might stream it. And there's another game actually that I started playing. I don't want to talk about it yet.
I saw you playing it.
Yeah, I played from last year. That got a lot of hype behind it, and so I decided that I would go ahead and play some of it. And yeah, I'm enjoying it so far.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, it is very cool.
So I'm not gonna sleep tonight, and then tomorrow night, and the night after, and I'll try playing those two games.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and get into the news before we start reading because we have a ton this week. I do want to remind anybody who's watching live on the chat over at twitch.tv/theworkprint that at the end of the news, if you have any questions, you want to tell us what you would choose as far as the food that has to go, anything you want to talk about, we can do that after the news, and it's your time to actually be a part of the show. Let's go ahead and get right into the news. Starting off, we have Netflix is planning on making a Scott Pilgrim anime.
I'm so hyped about this.
I'm excited about this too.
So I know it's a TV show, but Scott Pilgrim has more gaming references than anything, and it honestly might be the best video game movie ever made, even though it's not a video game. But it did spawn a great beat 'em up.
It did, yeah.
Yeah, that was really popular. Yeah.
I actually was playing that last year. When did the re-release
year.
come out? Was it last year? Yeah.
In the beginning of
some more of that,
year,
and it still holds up, man. It's still a ton of fun. Yeah, I agree. I'm super excited for this. I also have. I'm pretty confident that I read all of the graphic novels as well.
I got Brian Lee O'Malley to sign my 6th volume of at San Diego Comic-Con. I found him on the show floor, and it was one of my favorite memories from a convention.
That's really cool, man. So
the series has yet to be officially ordered, but it is reported that Science Saru, the anime production studio behind Devilman Crybaby, Night is Short, Walk on Girl, and Ping Pong the Animation is slated to animate the series. Yeah, I'm excited for this. Bilal, you sound excited. Christian, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I'm excited too. I'm a huge Scott Pilgrim fan, and it's Netflix. I mean, at this point, because they just spurn out content left and right, like they'll just. I think it'll be fine.
And I think like the studio behind Devilman Crybaby, I think that series did win like Anime of the year it came
Yeah,
out. So
I have been sort of job hunting Netflix positions. Knows, but I do know that they're like quadrupling down on animation, so it kind of makes sense why they're doing this. Like they're really gung ho about getting as much on there animated wise. But yeah.
I mean, yeah, as far as um adaptations in animation, Netflix has been killing it. I mean, that Castlevania anime is absolutely fantastic. Was absolutely fantastic. I talked about earlier my love of Arcane
Yeah.
and everything that series did, and so yeah, cannot wait. All right, this next bit of news is a little bit sad for me. Uh, After Sony passed on Days Gone 2, the devs pitched an open world Resistance reboot. Now, listen, I had no interest in playing Days Gone. I think I have it downloaded and installed on my PS5 as part of that PlayStation Plus collection, but
Yeah.
haven't touched it. And nothing about it interests me at all. But I would have loved an open world shooter set in the Resistance world.
I
I think,
never played the Resistance games. I just never got
oh
around
my
to it
god.
on the PS3.
All right.
How were they?
So they were fantastic, not perfect. And I think part of the reason part of my reason is that visually those games got very muddy, right? And this is the PS3 era, so you're seeing a lot of this PS3 360 era. So you're seeing a lot of browns in games, and the visual fidelity is not quite there. So I think as far as visual clarity, in the sense of like it's sometimes hard to actually make out what's going on the screen. I think that's where some of the games suffered, but Resistance was a game made by Insomniac with everything that Insomniac does well in a
Mhm.
first person shooter. So you're talking creative, fun weapons, the same that you get in Ratchet and Clank. Like that was over there in Resistance. And I would have loved to kind of get I would love to get a what essentially would have been a sci-fi Far Cry with fun weapons. Like I would absolutely be in for something like that.
Far Cry 6 Resistance.
You know what? It's here's one of the things. You mentioned that, right? But I wish that established franchises like Far Cry, and actually Far Cry does it with their spin-offs a little bit, but
Mhm.
like Call of Duty, like Battlefield, I wish they would stop dipping their toes in fun ideas and just go full on like, hey, this year we are going like full sci-fi. We are going full fantasy even, like give me a game that controls like Call of Duty, but I am a Van Helsing type character and that's what that's the campaign I'm going through. And
There, I think there was a Call of Duty pitch, if I recall correctly, that was supposed to be like um, ancient Roman times, something like that, with like a spear. But Activision was like, no.
Yeah.
They're like, that's not gonna make us money.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
listen, I would love for studios to do stuff like that, and that's kind of what Resistance did, right? Is Resistance took itself very serious, but played in sci-fi with these fun weapons, and I wish we got more stuff like that,
I
Um,
totally agree with you in that sense. I never played Resistance, but I know how groundbreaking it was for the next generation of console gaming. Um, I do think that the open world model is having its own like kind of set of problems and how to monetize it, particularly now because everyone sort of tried to do it and it hasn't been super successful. I know Amazon tried to do their own open world just recently. So yeah, it would have been cool to see. I don't know if that's particularly the future of gaming, though, personally, or at least I.
no,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I agree with you for the most part. I
yeah,
think that there has been a saturation of open world. Not everybody has done it well. I
yeah.
think that I love Halo's approach to an open world where it essentially is this open hub. that
Yeah.
when you go to the levels, you find them in the world. Actually, Halo and Bowser's 3D World, which came out this past year, kind of have a lot in common where, yes, it is this open world, but they are segmented off sections, right? The levels
Yeah.
are their own thing. And so I like that approach. I also like I would prefer a focused, dense open world to like a sprawling, massive open world. I think that's kind of Far Cry's problem.
Yeah. I
Has
agree with
been
that.
just how bloated and big that has gotten. Actually, Assassin's Creed suffers from that a little bit too as well
I would love
lately. I
a
mean,
20-hour Assassin's Creed.
yeah, I love Valhalla,
Yeah.
but once I got to a certain point where I was like, all right, I need to mainline this. If I
Mhm.
don't mainline this, I'm just not gonna finish it. And so I do think that there is a nice balance to be found there. I don't think that open world necessarily has to mean 60 plus hours, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I would love a studio to just kind of find, not that they would have, honestly, I while I would have loved to play an open world Resistance, just because I would love to play another Resistance, I don't know if they're necessarily the studio that I would want handling that.
Mm.
But then again, we've got, what is it? Guerrilla Games transitioning and doing something like Horizon, and
Yeah.
I was not a fan of their past stuff. So studios can, switch up and make it work.
I do agree with you about the open world fatigue. It's been very hard for me to go back to anything that's open world. I try to go back to Valhalla. It's just it's time consuming, and I
Yeah.
know I'm trying to prepare myself for Horizon. I mean I love Zero Dawn, and I'm really excited for Forbidden West. But we also have Elden Ring coming out as well. That's open world, and it's like I got very much Breath of the Wild fields from that technical test, and it I don't know how big that world is gonna be, and I just
Yeah.
and we got Dying Light 2, which is
Yeah. Yeah.
which is another
I kind of
beast
wish
with
they
its own.
staggered a little bit. There's a lot at once, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot at once, and I think like open world fatigue is a thing that can, and I think that's what Days Gone suffered from. Like from the people that have played it, they at least said it's fun. Yeah, maybe the story and maybe there's some issues with bugs and stuff that have gotten patched out over time. I have friends that rave about Days Gone that they really enjoyed it. The game still managed to sell 8 million copies, and so I'm shocked that there's not a Days Gone 2. I don't know how many of those were on sale, but I still think 8 million copies with majority of those on sale is still a lot of money.
Mhm.
It is, but apparently they were gunning for a lot bigger of a target, which makes me very surprised, but okay.
That's like
Um,
Square Enix with the Tomb Raider reboot, where they're like, we wanted, it wasn't a success, and it sold gangbusters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we've got E3 2022 goes online only amid pandemic fueled by Omicron variant.
Rob, we're never gonna get to go. We're never gonna
Yeah,
get to go.
this is like it very is like everybody who's been in the industry. Well, I shouldn't say that. There are a lot of people who have been in the industry for a long time who are like, you really don't want to go to E3,
Yeah.
right? Like E3 is it's not a big like it's not fun if you're not with one of these publications where you get behind the scene demo, like behind door demos and stuff like that. It's just not as exciting, but it very much is like a bucket list thing, right?
Yeah.
Like as somebody who grew up on gaming, I would love to just be able to say that I went once. You know what it is? It's E3 and it's Evo. Those are the two
Yeah.
things that like I just want to go to once.
Mhm.
That being said, there was no chance I was going this summer, even if it
Yeah.
was. But like, I 100% understand them doing this. I will say though that it is just another step in the or another bullet point for the people who are like, is E3 going to continue?
Necessary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is
Is
it
it
necessary?
viable at this point?
Is
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, with so many different studios just doing their own breakouts, like I think it would be a bummer because I do think that having a kind of organized collective, hey, this is the spotlight on gaming for this week. I think it does bring a ton of attention and it does get picked up by like major news outlets and stuff like that. Whereas, you know, most Nintendo Directs don't get picked up by major news outlets. They just don't.
Mhm.
And so I don't know. I don't know. It'll be
I
interesting to see what happens next year.
Yeah, the only thing I'm feeling really bad about with E3 being canceled, I mean, it makes sense because Omi's everywhere. But I know a lot of journalists like myself who are like freelancers who are really looking forward to this event, and were kind of just like dashed in terms of like their hopes of like networking and being able to just shake hands and stuff. But with the exception of that, yeah, like it's the right call, but you do feel kind of bad because there's a lot of like very hungry games journalists right now, who are very much wanting to go to E3 again, or at least go for the first time. So for that generation of journalists, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
I,
know.
I think for me a big part of it as well is just the personalities that you do see at Evo.
Yeah,
Um, like yeah, you can go online only, but you lose the personalities, the in-person atmosphere that kind of just like you feel that hype. Like I remember when Dragon Ball Fighter Z came out and how much like I'm not I I'm not a fighting game person. Like I'll play one, but I don't get deep into it because I just don't find I feel my time is being wasted trying to learn a fighting game that I'm not going to be playing with anyone I know because nobody I know plays fighting games
yeah,
besides Smash. And so it was just always nice seeing like those competitions, the crazy moves, the upsets, the stories that would come out. Like I loved reading those articles coming out of Evo, like chronicling like everything I would need to know. Uh, all the big moments. And so just like losing that these last couple of years kind of sucks. And so
yeah,
I think E3 you don't need it. You can still do crazy events. Like I
Yeah.
think all the publishers and console developers have shown that over the last 2 years. And
Yeah.
so be it.
I
Like,
mean,
and like, here's the thing: I've been to PAX East, and waiting in line to play games is not fun. So it's like you only want to go as press, so you can schedule
yeah.
appointments.
yeah. I mean, you mentioned it yourself. I do play a lot of fighting games. I'm dog water at all of them, but I do dabble in them for a few weeks when they release, and I there's a couple that I would stick with, but Evo is always this thing where like for that weekend, like that's what's on my TV the whole time, and I'm bouncing from stream to stream, game to game, and just watching all these people like be the best in a genre that I'm terrible at, but is also very fun to watch,
Mhm.
Um, and so yeah, I would agree. I'm more disappointed about like Evo than I am about E3, but I still I still like the idea of an E3.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Speaking of COVID and the global pandemic, BioWare to adopt remote work options for employees.
I honestly put this story here because I just want my job to go fully remote as well and stop bullshitting us with you come into work 2 days a week for what for what.
So
Yeah.
in a blog post, they stated that our goal is to lean into the things everyone likes about working from home while also giving people the opportunity to return to the office with more flexibility. Going forward, we'll have new challenges with a hybrid approach to work and are focused on new tech that will help maximize collaboration and communication between on site and remote people. That was by Studio General Manager Gary McKay. Yeah, I mean, I think this is a no brainer. I think this is the reality of our world today is that as much as these big companies, have to justify the what is most of the time their biggest cost is the actual physical buildings themselves and the rent on them or the mortgages on them, um, the leases on them, and it still is just like we have shown in situations like this where it can be done this way and it's the right way to go going forward.
Yeah.
Um, It's crazy. I was just talking to somebody the other day, and I remember when all this started, where it was like February of 2020, and we had a bachelor party that we were going to in San Diego. And we were all like, are we going to go? Should we go? Blah, blah, and some of us were like, you know what? We're going to go. We're going to be safe. We're mostly just going to be hanging out in an Airbnb anyway. And we're not going to clubs and stuff like that. That's just not us. And so we went and we remember talking about it and being like, hopefully it'll only be a couple more months. And here we are, January 12th, 2022.
Almost
And
year three. Yeah.
yeah, and it's just, it's nuts, man. But this
Yeah.
is the reality of our world now and the world going forward. And
I,
um,
I will say that the one thing you will lose out on, which actually could be a benefit, is the crunch culture of like AAA studios and stuff. Like, I don't know a single indie studio or like developer who was really suffering from like work from home pandemic related crap, right? But like, I know for the big people who are like, we need to release this within a year, etc. Not being able to have everyone on site and kind of like improv and like mess around has, kind of delayed a little bit of release dates and then kind of like affected the work culture. But I think that might be a good thing, to be honest. 'Cause I think it's better to plan out and stretch things out than like force a big reveal every year. It's, I don't know. Maybe that's just me though. But
No. I mean, I agree with you, but I also think that one of the things that has come out in the wake of people working from home is that people are like naturally putting in more hours for whatever reason from home,
yeah,
partly because they feel like they don't want it to seem like they're not working, you know, which is also why the I don't know, realist, pessimist, whatever you want to call it, in me is like, yeah, this makes sense for some of these studios to go because I'm sure they are seeing even more work out of their employees, and so
yeah.
um, yeah,
It
it'll
does
be
make it. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say it does make it a little complicated though, because I know some studios they really sold the whole you want to come on campus, you want to see like what it's like working
Yeah,
in like games, like the areas, because I've toured both Riot and Activision Blizzard, and yeah, their studios are amazing.
yeah,
The culture is cool. There's like a million different gaming related things, and they encourage you to play 24/7 and hang out. But that's the catch, is like they want you on site
yeah,
for
right.
those particular things.
Yeah.
So this whole pandemic has kind of shifted the work culture, and I think again, I do think it's possible to work remotely. I do worry that when you lose that, like, we're forced to be together in this messy bubble creative space, you kind of lose something in translation, and I think that's a big reason why you're seeing a lot of AAA delays personally. But I do think it's better health wise overall though to delay. But you know,
Yeah. I mean, I could just tell you from my own personal situation, just like being able to work from home and see my son throughout the day, something I wouldn't have been able to do before I left. It's a big thing. It's like I would see him in the morning when he wakes up, and then I would see him right before he's going to bed, and I would lose all this time. And so,
Yeah,
there's benefits to it as well. I think for a lot of people, and the flexibility. Like as long as you have a good manager who doesn't sit on top of you trying to micromanage you, and they trust you to get your work done, and you get your work done. I think it's a win for everybody. You just gotta manage. I think like it comes down to everybody. You have to manage your own hours and how much work you're gonna put in. Like you're only if you're working 9 to 5, you work 9 to 5. If you're working anything more, that's on you. And if the expectation it becomes like this is the guy that works more, you do that yourself. So you got to just be able to put your foot down where you can, and then have your work respect that.
all right. Moving on, we got PUBG goes free to play with rewards for past buyers. Now, this was actually announced during the Game Awards a month ago, 2 months ago,
A
a
month
month ago.
ago, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And it's official. It has gone free to play. And what they've done is for those of us who actually purchased the game when it released, suckers like myself, it
We bought it twice.
yeah, we are getting upgraded to what they call Battlegrounds Plus. Otherwise available for $12.99, it offers both ranked and custom match play, which is not available in the free to play accounts, a 100% XP boost, 1,300 G coins, and a matching gloves, mask, and hat set. Those who bought the game will also get a special commemorative pack of in-game cosmetics.
Cool.
Um, yeah, I think that's doing right by
Yeah, I wasn't
the people
expecting
who got
anything.
you there. Yeah, exactly, right. And so no, I think that's totally the right move to make, and good on them for even doing that. And that's it. I mean,
Yeah.
the thing is, I'm
Yeah.
I
not.
think all
The
of
thing
us are
is,
just like,
yeah,
That,
the thing
yeah.
is that like of all the battle royale games
yeah.
I'm playing these days, PUBG just isn't one of them.
Yeah.
But I still do have great memories from playing PUBG.
That
And
was that was a great time. Like the the footprint PUBG left
mhm.
on what multiplayer games could be was outstanding. Um, and I'm glad it came in. I'm glad battle royales became a thing.
Yeah.
Um, for the I mean, even into the pandemic, it was just something you could do with friends. Whether it was PUBG, whether it was Apex, whether it was Fortnite. Like You and your friends jumped on. It was great, and girls just sat there. Or like our significant others were just like, "What is going on?" There's a bunch of 20-somethings. We brought our consoles together and like a monitor so we could play Fortnite together. It was hilarious. I love that trip. That was such a good trip with my cousins.
I haven't been to 20 something in a while. Anyway, uh,
Shh! Don't let them know. Don't let the audience know how old we all are.
next up we've got Tabletop Simulator removes global chat. Every game should do this. I don't care what your community is like. Every game should get rid of global chat.
Didn't
Global
League do
chat
this as well?
is the worst. Yeah, League got rid of
All chat.
all chat.
Yeah.
Yes. And they stated that moderation has failed its customers. So Berserk Games, developer of Tabletop Simulator, courted controversy this week after a gay trans user shared her experiences with its moderation team. Claimed she was banned from global chat for referring to herself as trans and gay. This user and others shared screenshots that appear to show Tabletop Simulator banning any users who say the phrase "I'm gay." The developer has said that it's reevaluating its moderation policies. Listen, I have never ever played a game where I thought global chat was a great idea.
Even in an MMO, it never felt safe to me.
No. It's always just like, and don't get me wrong, this isn't the reality. I like to think that the reality is that the worst kind of people are the vocal minority, right? And they're the ones that are in there abusing it. And there are tons of players like me who just don't engage in global chat at all. So you're just not seeing that there are people out there who aren't like this. This is interesting that it's not even that their chat was going rampant. It was more so just that they just don't have. I mean, it really is just the moderation failed their people. They just don't. They almost had too heavy of a hand in how it handled their global chat, and so while they are taking it down, they are reassessing how to kind of fix those shortcomings, and I think that's the right move.
I didn't
I
know you
also
could play Tabletop Simulator with randoms like that.
Oh yeah, I've done. I mean, I've done it. I've gone in, and especially with new games, there's a lot of people who will pit up lobbies of games, especially ones that are a little bit more complicated, and they'll say right there in the title, like, "Hey, come play. We're teaching. I'm teaching."
Ooh, I gotta
Oh,
check
that's pretty
that
cool.
out. Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, actually think Tabletop Simulator as a whole has a pretty decent community, but good on them to actually go ahead and try to make this right.
Yeah. And you
Yeah.
know what? I think admitting that something has failed goes a long way because I think a lot of people get very defensive from the get go. So good on
Yeah, I
them.
mean, yeah, it is also tough though because it is one of those things where like the people who have been affected have already been affected,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they've already been hurt, they've already been burned, they've already been scorned. I think that while this is a good move to kind of avoid that from happening in the future, it doesn't fix what happens to them,
Yeah.
and so.
Mm.
If we planned our podcast better, we would have had this story right after we were talking about battle royales. Attack on Titan comes to Call of Duty, Warzone, and Vanguard.
Okay, so I got this press release and I was very confused that Call of Duty got Attack on Titan and not Fortnite.
Yeah, so Call of Duty has had some IP
Yeah.
crossovers. They don't get quite as much attention as the Fortnite ones do, because Fortnite gets these really big
All
ones and they get them all the time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I mean, Call of Duty did have some slasher horror icons come into the game as cosmetics. They also had trying to think of some of the other IPs. It's just it's funny. Like I said, they don't get as big of ones as say Fortnite, but this isn't unusual for them to get this. The reason this is kind of making news is that this is trash. It's such a
It
bad
is.
bundle. Like everything in it. First off, the guns are. And listen, Call of Duty Warzone has done guns where they straight up just have like anime girls on the guns. right?
Mhm.
They straight up have flowers, or they have designs on the guns, you know.
Mhm.
And so you could have released blueprints that just had like characters from the game on the guns, and people would have been excited and happy about that. Instead, they have, if you didn't know that these were based on Attack on Titan, they would just look like any of the other games that fit
I
into the game.
I
You know?
don't know what I'm looking at for these weapon blueprints
Yes.
exactly.
I think the coolest thing about this is actually the Titan piercers as a
Yeah.
melee weapon in the game. I mean, that is undeniably cool, and some of the
The
like
emblems
the
and
finish,
sticker are nice.
yeah, and the finishing move, like some of that stuff
Yeah.
is cool. I think the biggest problem with this is that the way cosmetics work in Warzone and Call of Duty in general is they have to be slapped on an operator that already exists in the game, you know?
Mhm.
And so it becomes much easier when you're doing like flasher icons, you know, when you're doing a uh ghost face, right? Because you just throw a mask on one of your operatives. When you are trying to have someone styled like a certain property, it just looks unnatural and awful. You know, they have the survey corpse that they threw on one of their operators, Daniel Yatsu, and it's modeled after, and they even said in the blog post that's modeled after Levi Ackerman, and it just, I mean, it's bad.
It looks like a K-pop boy band member, like the
Listen,
really
I'm not.
old guy from a K-pop band.
I'm not even like, I'm not the biggest fan of Attack on Titan. That's not to say that I don't like it. I just haven't, I'm not caught up. I stopped like after season 2, I think.
Oh, okay,
Um
that's understandable then.
it's just one of those things where like I understand why people love Attack
Mhm.
on Titan. I understand why people love a lot of anime in this vein.
Mhm.
I just can't deal with every like show and anime being overly depressing in that it feeling like insurmountable and just like inevitable that things are going to go wrong. You know, it's one of those things where like I have to pick and choose. And so for me, instead of Attack on Titan, I started watching The Promised Neverland. And so that's where I get my depression
Is
from.
that any, okay? I was gonna say, is that any better?
Okay. And no, it's just like I just can't.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where like people, I think people who love like Attack on Titan and animes like that and shows like that in that vein, I think they also the people who don't like Gon from Hunter x Hunter, right? Uh
I
I think
haven't
they're,
watched Hunter x Hunter.
oh, okay. Well, he's very much your typical like he's like the Deku,
Okay.
right? It's like this is your pure, although I'm not caught up on that either, but like your pure, you're like you're
Shonen boy.
Superman, right?
You're
Yeah.
Shonen boy. Yeah.
And so, and I tend to like, that's the kind of stuff I tend,
Yeah.
you know, I like to root for the nice people. Anyway, are either of you guys, I know you're Bilal, you're caught up, right? On we talked about this before.
I've read all of it, so I know where it's headed. But the final, like
Okay.
this is timed around the final season, which just started
Right.
this past weekend.
Part 2 of the final
Yeah.
season. Yeah.
Makes sense.
It does get dark. It does get lighter in the sense of hope and pretty badass. But I'll say catch up. It's
I will. At some point, I will.
it's gonna be a fun ride.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get my wife to finally watch.
Yeah. What about you, Christian? You Attack on Titan fan at all?
I've only seen half of the first season,
Okay.
so
Okay.
but it is amazing. Just like you, I don't really. I want to pace myself in terms of depressing stuff to watch. at the
Yeah.
moment.
Right. Yeah.
We're near 3 of pandemic. I'm like let's
I
something
wa-
happy and stupid.
I wasn't a big fan of the first season like a lot of people were. I thought it was a bit slow, but I did get what people liked about it. Then
Mhm.
once the pandemic started, I watched all 3 seasons probably in a week, and I was all in by like season 2 when like the plot twists start kicking in, and you're just like, what is happening? And it's been a fun ride for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of depression, Lego delays Overwatch 2 set over concerns about Activision Blizzard workplace culture. Because
Yeah.
this is
Good.
because this is an episode of the Work Prince Gamescast, we are talking about Activision Blizzard again because they cannot stay out of the news. I mean, yeah, I agree. Good on Lego, like you
Yeah.
know, but it's just like, oh my god, this is. You know what? This Activision Blizzard and all of its chaos and stuff like that is going to outlast this pandemic. I believe it.
If they fire Bobby, I think it'll get better.
Yeah, but they're
just
just
more
they've already.
flex.
I mean, yeah, I agree, but I also think that they're just not going to do that. You know, because
Which is
how much more has to go wrong
What
I
if
know.
for?
Rob? What if Bobby Kotick discovers the cure for the coronavirus?
Listen, I've already watched, like, you know, I watched Dune earlier this year. I don't need another white savior story. I'm good. All right.
Who
Anyway,
is the Duncan Idaho of the coronavirus?
um,
Good on Lego
so
though for
Like,
doing
yeah.
it.
So
Yeah.
just a little background on this. The Lego
Yeah.
Group has indefinitely delayed the release of a new Lego set based on Overwatch 2, according to a statement from the company posted by the Brick Fan. Lego said the decision to push back the set comes as the company is reviewing its partnership with Activision Blizzard over concerns about how the game publisher is handling allegations of a toxic workplace culture and gender discrimination at the company. Their statement released Tuesday says in full, we are currently reviewing our partnership with Activision Blizzard, which that's what everybody's saying, right? Everybody is saying
Sony,
we're currently
Microsoft.
Microsoft. We're currently Nintendo. We are currently reviewing our partnership
Yeah.
with, but at least they're going the extra step and saying we are putting a pause on this release.
Yeah.
But to be fair, it also works in their favor because that game isn't going to
Isn't
come
even
out
out,
this
right?
year.
Yeah. Correct.
I was surprised because like there's Merc coming out for this before.
Yeah, this was like if anything, it's an opportunity.
They haven't even shown gameplay for Overwatch 2, or have they?
I haven't.
Right.
Not really.
No,
Yeah.
not really. Right.
Yeah.
I think they've showed redesigns of some of the characters because they're getting
Yeah.
visual upgrades, some of them, but that's it. That's as far as it goes.
I think Overwatch 2 is still gonna sell well though. That's the sad part about all this. That even after all this, I think Blizzard's.
Oh,
gonna
I
be...
mean, listen. The reality is that like Blizzard games are gonna sell. You know, Activision games are
people,
gonna sell.
people
Like,
love them. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I do too, but like, I can't deny all the fucked up shit that's happened. You know?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
All right. Next bit of news: GTA publisher Take-Two acquiring mobile games giant Zynga and $12.7 billion deal. First off, I forgot Zynga even existed because there was this like height of the early 2010s where I feel like they were on top of the world. And yeah, I mean
They
not only
background.
they not only are still around, but they sold for $12.7 billion.
If you need a reminder, Bethesda was what, 8 billion?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This deal is one of the biggest in video game acquisition history, exceeding the buyout of ZeniMax Media, which is that Bethesda deal, and Tencent's purchase of Supercell.
So this one's a little complicated. Even though it did sell for that much, Zynga was worth a lot more in the early 2010s because everyone thought they were going to be like the biggest mobile gaming and like Facebook gaming.
It's also around the time where people were like, "Hey, console gaming is dead. Mobile's the future," right? Like they were kind of the reason that got as much push behind it and got as much talk as it did is because of Zynga.
Yeah, so like for Zynga, I think this was a win because like they were dying regardless. For Take-Two, it's gonna take time to see if this was worth it. I do think that it will help their mobile division because I know that they've been trying to push that for a while, and this is a direction that they have been wanting to go, especially with all the online content regarding GTA and the whatnot. But like, I don't know. There's potential, but it also could look really stupid in like a year. But we'll see. You know.
I know Take-Two has come out or Rockstar has come out and said like, hey, we're like the future of Midnight Club will likely be mobile, and so Zynga has they know how to do microtransactions. They know how to create games that can have long tail in terms of monetization. Put out something free, get people in, keep people hooked. That's a company that knows how to do that well. based off their library of games. And so you take properties from Take Two, you make a Grand Theft Auto mobile game. Could you just imagine how much money that game would bring in? Doesn't even matter if it's good or not. It'll bring in enough money to be worth the effort.
I think that's the idea,
Yeah, and
but
like,
we'll see how it actually turns out. Yeah.
and I forgot to add the story, but just there was the story from Bloomberg about Ken Levine and his studio over at Take
Yeah.
Two about the new BioShock game that they're working on and how it's a mess, how Ken Levine's vision keeps changing, and they're just cutting games worth of content because he's changing his mind over and over again. And they're allowed to do this because Ken Levine lives in around like essentially like a rounding error. He can take as long as he wants just because GTA Online is making so much money that their hopes just lie in Ken Levine making one game that will sell gangbusters. And then that's their new franchise that they can make a sequel to, and it'll make them more and more money. And so Zynga is probably another, in my mind, is a cash flow for them that it's an avenue. I don't know how well Take Two is doing with their mobile stuff, but if Zynga can come in and increase that, it's only going to make their value even better.
Yeah.
All right, listen, Bilal, I'm not doing this next story.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, I refuse.
You can skip it. I just wanted to say that Konami sucks.
Yeah, Konami sucks.
And Castlevania fans deserve better.
Yep, Konami sucks. I agreed. I just don't even want to.
That's the only reason I put it in there.
Yep, Konami sucks.
Quick, Konami sucks. 35th anniversary of for Castlevania. Instead of announcing something cool, they announce NFTs. Fuck you, Konami.
Yep.
Moving on.
All right. A much cooler story. First details on From Software's rumored new Armored Core leak. Dark Souls and
I love a good Armored Core
developer. Yeah, From Software used to be known primarily for its work on the Armored Core series, and now it looks like they will be back on that franchise. The copy describes the new Armored Core as a third-person shooter mecha action title that lets you move around an overwhelmingly scaled map that represents a unique sci-fi world with dynamic mech action. I haven't seen any of these images, but I am 100% in on them doing a new Armored Core.
Let's see. Yeah, no, same here. I played some of the earlier ones on, I think, like PlayStation and PlayStation 2, and they were fun games. I could only imagine what a solid mech game looks like in today's console generation. I can't remember the last good mech game we got outside of Titanfall. And in Titanfall, the mechs were more of a side thing than the main mode of transportation. So it'd be really cool to customize mechs and just go to town. I hope it's not just Dark Souls in a mech suit.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and yeah. I was gonna say I don't think it will be, but yeah. I will say though that one of the things I do love about From Software, I mean, they get plenty of credit about their game design and gameplay elements, but also their environments are fantastic. Like every genre they tackle, they always knock it out of the park as far as environment storytelling is concerned. And so to see them switch it up again is super exciting.
Looking at these blurred out images, it does look like there's some cool environments there and some cool looking mechs. Yeah, I'm excited.
Christian, what about you?
Excited. Don't know too much about it, so that's why I'm kind of keeping quiet about that one. But yeah, looks cool though.
All right. I'm also excited about this next one. Drinkbox's wacky RPG Nobody Save the World is coming to Xbox Game Pass and launching January 18th for Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and PC. I've talked about it on the podcast before. I love Metroidvanias, and one of my favorite ones is Guacamelee. Have either of you two played Guacamelee?
I played some of Guacamelee on the PSP or Vita, one of them.
What's Guacamelee?
So Guacamelee is a Metroidvania. So it is a action platformer, and it stars a luchador who passes away, but then is brought back to life via this mask, and that's where he gets his power from. And he has to save the love of his life, also saving the world in the process. It is absolutely fantastic. and I cannot wait for this next game from Drinkbox. I wish I had. Hold on, one second, real quick. Drinkbox also did another game on the Vita, because the Vita is the first place I also found out about them. So they also did Severed, which was
Oh yes.
underrated in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
and they did Mutant Blobs Attack, which is the second game I played from them, because I played Guacamelee first, and that was fantastic as well. These guys are very, very good at what they do, and so to see them kind of take on this different genre, I'm super, super excited about it. So Nobody Saves the World puts players in the role of a featureless anonymous sorcerer apprentice tasked with saving the day. Their magical abilities allow the player to transform into several different beings, animals, and objects, a rat, an egg, and a bodybuilder, for example, unlocking, mixing, and matching perks to overcome enemy mobs and clear out dungeons. Now, so this says RPG, but I think it's an RPG in the sense of an action RPG, similar to like Diablo,
Yeah.
or I think that is the way the combat, if I recall correctly, is handled in this. But I don't know for certain. I honestly does not matter, because I will play anything that these guys come out with until they prove me otherwise.
Have
Give
they
me a reason not to.
said how many player co-op this is? Because this might make for a fun stream.
I mean, it's at least 2, right? If it's co-op.
Yeah, at least 2.
So let's get in there. Let's get this done. Again, just showing like Xbox Game Pass is insane.
I know.
It's so good.
Christian,
Oh,
you need an
that
Xbox.
this isn't or a
I
gaming
do that all
PC
the
or a
time.
gaming PC,
Yeah.
but I highly recommend. I have a Series S, I have a Series X. They're both fantastic, and at $300, the Series S is you just kind of can't beat that. I do want to say that since we're talking about Game Pass, this isn't one of our stories, but did you see that PlayStation Plus physical cards
Yes.
were taken off of retailers in the UK? And apparently they've already started taking them out of retailers in the US. So I
Back in
think that
November, I
rumored,
believe.
yeah, so that rumored, Spartacus program that upgraded PlayStation Plus seems to be coming sooner rather than later. So that'll be
Yeah.
interesting to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I saw Jason Schreier tweet something like that. So I imagine we'll be hearing it probably soon after Horizon launches.
Going from hearing something sooner rather than later, we are now getting something later rather than sooner. Stalker 2 delayed until end of 2022. They came out and released statements saying that we have made a decision to postpone the release of Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl to December 8th, 2022. These additional 7 months of development are needed to fulfill our vision and achieve the desired state of the game. Stalker 2 is the biggest project in the history of GSC, and it requires thorough testing and polishing. We are convinced that development should take as long as necessary, especially in the case of such a project. Listen, if it needs more time, it needs more time.
Yeah.
Right? Like we talk about this all the time. A game is get delayed for a reason. I am curious if they hadn't received the backlash they did about the NFTs being in the game,
Oh yes.
and if that had anything to do with it having to if there was any extra development work that had to be due to remove that functionality, or I'm really excited about this game. I think this is like a potential sleeper hit
Mhm.
for this year, as long as it still comes out this year.
I remember
I think
the E3 trailer being really nice.
Yeah.
Like it graphically looks great. It has was this one of the creepy like vortexes or something like in the wild where like you're throwing or using like a machine?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Maybe not. I think we're confusing two different trailers.
We might be.
Yeah. Or combining two different trailers, I should say.
There are a lot of games with Russians in them this E3.
All right. So while we now no longer have a definitive date for Stalker 2, a game we do have a new date for is Kirby and the Forgotten Land. So Kirby and the Forgotten Land will release on the Nintendo Switch on March 25th. They also got a new trailer that shows off some of the copy abilities and co-op. Oh man, I think the last Kirby game I enjoyed was on like the original DS or the DS Lite.
The touch one with the where you drew the path was probably the best Kirby game I've played.
Mm.
I know that's probably blasphemous to someone in the chat, but that one was great.
Yeah.
They should make more of those type of Kirby games.
That being said, this one did have that trailer that made looked very much like, what was it? Kirby: The Last of Us is what people were calling it.
Yes.
And so I'm very, very interested to see kind of what this is and what this ends up being. I will say that this trailer
It looks a lot
makes
better.
it, yeah. It also looks
I still feel like this is something my son will play, and he's probably going to
right.
be 7 months
Right.
old by the time
Yeah.
this comes out.
Yeah, I feel like this is something that I could play with my daughter and have her take the sticks and,
Yeah.
and play. So
It looks cool. It looks
it
cute.
looks cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. It doesn't quite look like what I thought it would be with that first trailer coming out. It does look like it is sticking to being a more traditional Kirby game, just with the having an open world overworld.
Mhm.
But I mean, look, I'm in.
Yeah. I wasn't sold on it during its first reveal, but I think this one has sold me on it. So, yeah, I'm in as well.
If you like Kirby, you can't go wrong. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
Man, people who like Kirby like Kirby.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
Yeah. I mean, we could say it.
They're
We
like
could
a
say it,
less worse Sonic fan.
Yeah, no, but they're also still weirdos. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah. They have that
Hey,
weird fetish that they tell you about, but you're like,
Yeah.
I don't need to know that.
I'm not gonna ask for detail.
All right. Our last bit of news for this week is Mario Kart 9 reportedly on the way. This time
Finally.
with a new twist.
Finally.
It could be announced as soon as this year. According to Sirkan Toto, an analyst with Catan Games, Mario Kart 9 is in active development and will come with a new twist. He shared his comments as part of an article on 2022 gaming predictions for GameIndustry.biz. I mean, obviously, we're gonna get a new Mario Kart. It'd be insane not to. And I think an announcement this year with maybe a release next year kind of makes a lot of sense, considering how long ago Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was released. And
How long has it
so
been?
that came out right around launch, right?
Yeah, I think that might have been a launch title.
Yeah. And
Around then.
so-
Yeah, and like I bought a Wii U. It was a Mario Kart 8 bundle. So that was in
Yeah.
2014. And so
Yep.
I've been playing this game for almost
Yeah.
8 years. I
Yeah.
need a new Mario Kart desperately.
I'm
Mm.
interested to find out what this new twist is all about.
This time it's you choose the carts and they ride the Mario characters.
No, instead of double dash, it's triple dash. There's just three
There's
players. Like,
characters.
yeah, but it's not like
Bowser, Donkey Kong, and like Waluigi.
Yeah, but they're not riding behind each other. They're actually on each other's shoulders
Yeah.
in a long overcoat, trying to sneak into a movie they're not about to be in. Uh,
Do you think
Yeah.
they expand the cast to like a Smash Brothers type thing, where it's like the extended
I mean, they had already started doing that
Yeah.
with Mario Kart 8, and
With the
so
DLC.
yeah, I would absolutely expect something like that. I mean, why not? Right? They have that roster for a reason. They might as well use it. I'm all for that. I'm in.
Yeah, no, I this is gonna be probably game will sell like 20 million copies in the first month. I like it still is. I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is still one of the top selling Nintendo Switch games, which is bonkers. But everyone loves a good Mario Kart, and like they nailed it with 8. Like honestly, I'm surprised they didn't do more DLC for 8. Because there's not much more they need to change up. We just need more courses. And so I hope whatever they do with 9 is cool. They don't change too much in terms of the driving, but they like I would love to see a season pass for Mario Kart, just with like new maps promised down the road.
Yep. Sorry, I had a little bit of a
It's
moment
been
there.
a lot of news.
Yeah, it's so weird too because all this came out in like I feel like the past couple
24
days.
hours.
Yeah,
Or yeah, no.
and so, but yeah, that wraps up all the news for this week. At this point, if anybody hanging in the chat has any questions, anything they want to talk about, we'll take questions from the chat. Also, I just want to go back to some of the things that were mentioned earlier that I didn't get a chance to talk about during. There was one in particular. Oh yeah, so somebody had pointed out, I think at the same time as you did when I was talking about watching The Promised Neverland versus Attack on Titan. They had asked, "How is that better?" But I answered that already in the fact that it's not that it's better. Honestly, it might even be worse. But it is a situation where I just have to pick and choose my depressing animes.
I've been just speaking of animes. I just want to give short plugs to the mangas of Spy X Family, which is a great comedy drama, family drama, and Kaiju number 8, which is exactly what you expect it to be, and it's a lot of fun.
Hmm.
If you need something to read, check those two out.
All right. Well, I think we're gonna go ahead and just wrap this up. Bilal, why don't you let people know? Actually, Christian, why don't you start us off? Why don't you let people know where they can follow you on social media? You know, reiterate some of the sites that you're writing for.
Yeah, sure. You can find me on X_Angeles on Twitter, and of course at theworkprint.com, where always posting stuff on the regular. The Workprint podcast on Apple Podcasts, and the Gamer. Took me a second to remember thegamer.com, where I do listicles mostly. And I think that's all of them that you can follow me on. But I'll have more news and stuff on my Twitter. It's usually where I post stuff mostly these days. So,
Christian, I have one question for you.
Hmm?
I have one question for you. What are
Sure.
what are these X-Men elections all about?
Oh, so Marvel did. We're getting a lot of Marvel stuff, so I'll be posting all about it. But yeah, the X-Men elections, basically, you can select which mutant gets to join the X-Men this year. But the poll ends, and if you guys want to vote for it, it ends in exactly 1 hour and I think 19 minutes or so. I can't do math. Or 1 hour and 20 minutes. So yeah, you can actually vote right now who gets to join the X-Men team for this year. And they had one last year as well, but this one's this year's campaign.
I just
And
thought as long as you had a kind heart and mutant powers, you could be an X-Men.
I mean, yes, but in terms of the story, they actually get written in. And if you partake in the elections this year and you're signed up for the Marvel Unlimited app, you also what's the word? You get to sorry, I'm a little tired now. Oh, you might be actually be drawn in a comic. That's
Oh,
cool.
that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Okay. I was very curious about why X-Men were having elections and why that mattered. So
yeah, so they might keep doing this every year, depending on how well this campaign did. So yeah.
All right. Then you guys can follow me, Bilal, on Twitter at Bilal_Mian, on Twitch at Night Mystic. Tuesdays every week we will be streaming Gloomhaven's campaign. We did that last night to which started out as an utter disaster and almost ended in an even bigger disaster, but we pulled through with 4 of us dead. It was chaotic. There was also a side story in our stream of lost money. Um, yes, there's a lot going on in those Gloomhaven streams. So if you like a good tabletop game and just want to come out and chat, come through. We usually start around 7 p.m. on Tuesday night. So keep your eye out on the Twitter account for the Workprint and the Instagram account. Both the Workprint on the respective platforms. Keep an eye out there, and you'll find out. It's usually Tuesday at 7, but if anything changes or we decide to do it more often, you'll see it there. We also, as Christian mentioned earlier, Christian, fantastic job on the site. It really has revitalized it this January, and we're only 12 days in. We have a bunch of new writers. As you said, a lot of comic content going up for Marvel. Yellow Jackets reviews have been doing well on the site. So if you've been watching Showtime's Yellow Jackets, tune into the site. We have already, our review will be live for the finale this Sunday once the episode finishes airing. And I believe Nicole is also covering a Discovery of Witches over on the
Yeah.
site. There's a lot of stuff coming. Gamecast every week. I think we'll be doing some more streams as well with Extraction dropping on Game Pass next week or the week after.
Resident Alien. Gonna cover that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it drops next week. I'm just going to, now that the holidays are done, I myself am just gonna hop on here for whatever I'm playing at the moment and have some streams. So expect to see me playing a lot of Apex. If you want to see me angry, come watch me play Apex.
I will tune in for that.
Yeah, it's the highest highs and the lowest lows. I don't want to talk about it on the podcast, but I had a situation recently where I thought I was going to uninstall that game because of how hard we threw what should have been a first place finish.
Isn't that the case every week, Rob? Isn't that the case every week?
I just want to win. Anyway, as always, you can follow me at SunnyVice20, SUNNYVICE20 on pretty much all social media and all the consoles and platforms out there. Thank you, everybody who came and hung out with us in the chat, everybody who listens to the podcast afterwards. Thank you so much, Christian, for coming and being a guest. I know we've been talking about this for a little while now, having you come on and
yeah, this was really fun, dude. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
And Bilal, I mean, listen, I say it every week, but thank you for, it's one thing to take some time out in your busy schedule to play all these games that you've been playing and getting ready for Game of the Year. Like that really does mean a lot to me. And it's another thing for you to get on here early than we normally get on today to kind of get all this worked out. With me not giving you the most notice in the world to get on here early, and I listen, this show wouldn't be happening if it wasn't. You know what? It would be happening, but it would just be one screen, me, full cam, and it would be awful. So, thank you so much for everything you do, man.
Thanks,
I
man.
really, really do appreciate it.
No, I love doing this. It's a joy. It's my one break that I do get through my week, and I look forward to doing it every week, no matter how tired I am. It's always like a Red Bull before going to bed. So,
real quick, we did have one thing from the chat. T Rivers 187 Taylor coming in here asking if I'm gonna grind to Predator. If you put in the commitment that you'll be on always, right? And whoever our third is agrees that I call all the shots and we're literally playing off of me the whole time, then yeah, we'll talk about grinding to Masters Predator. Yeah, right. We'll talk about grinding to Masters.
Is that so? How's the tiers work? Where are you guys now, and how high do you have to go?
So I I
know what you're trying to avoid.
I get to diamond.
Yes.
I would say I'm a diamond player.
Yes.
By rank. It goes bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, masters, and then Predator. And Predator is like top 100, top 500, something like that. And I think it's like top. It's either top 100 or top 500. It's one of those. I think it's top 500 of PC players or console players. Like that, I think that's the divide. And so once you get to masters, once you get to each tier, you can't drop out of that tier. But obviously, there's like divisions within them. And I can get to diamond fairly easily, we'll say. And so yeah, that's most of us, me and my friends, we're around the high platinum to low diamond rank. Does everybody deserve to be there? I mean, that's a different story. Do some people deserve to be higher than they actually are? I mean, I would say yes to that as well. Certainly me. But anyway, let's get out of here before I show my foot in my mouth anymore. Yeah, thank you guys for being on. Thank you guys for watching. As always, the best way to support us, in my opinion, is to tell other people. When we have this many people in chat hanging out, it's honestly when it's the most fun. And until next time, bye-bye.